Dr. Jennifer Goodman. I won't tell you together how many years. And sitting to the right is Ms. Willarina Ash. So Dr. Palmer, when we fondly say semester 2 and semester 3, they're right there. And also to the right is Dr. Annie Wilson. And we have other retirees who are here. Mrs. Onita Peters, please be recognized. Onita was certainly Brandon's coach. Oh, her baby. Anita did a service for us, not only in teaching some of the students in clinical, but she also spent a few years in the Office of Pre-Nursing Advising. She became truly a center post for that office. And I think all of the students who passed through really enjoyed her overall coaching, but most of all, her reality about professional nursing. So this takes us to Brandon, and along with him today is his mother, Mrs. Johnson. Could you please be recognized? Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be part of his educational experience. Brandon, when we thought about who should really make this keynote speech, and we felt, Brandon Johnson, Brandon. We see him all the time, and then there may be these gaps when we don't see him, but he's always there, and he's always so committed. As I indicated, he started at the main campus. He had the total experience. He was a role model, and still is a role model for his classmates, for other students, encouraging them. But most of all, he demonstrated a reality about leadership, and about quality, and about sustainability, about looking forward, about being committed, posing questions when maybe others may say, well, I don't think I understand it, and he would say, have you thought of? And sometimes he would raise those questions during a PV Student Nurses Association, or just in conversation, but always thinking ahead and demonstrating strong leadership, affect, and most of all, genuine caring. So he was a noticeable leader, and he remains. He is working with Mrs. Denise Smith and the entire Alumni Association. She brought the youth of our graduates, and Brandon is one of them. As I indicated, Brandon graduated with his Bachelor of Science degree in 2009, and it was a few years, but he came back, and he decided to study for the Masters of Science in Nursing Family Nurse Practitioner program. So naturally, he has put all these things together, and as a result, he's making a tremendous contribution throughout the Gulf Coast, but actually, he's right across from his home base at Baylor and Ben Taub and some of the other facilities that you can see from our windows. I always like to say the College of Nursing facilities, Prairie View's image and property has a linear relationship. Rice is to the west, and the University of Texas Medical School is to the east, and we are right there in the center. So we couldn't be in better place. At this time, Brandon serves as level 1 primary care provider at Ben Taub General Hospital, implementing evidence-based intervention that help neurosurgical patients meet or exceed expected goals. He serves as a preceptor to new nursing graduates, and some of those new nursing graduates may be some of our family nurse practitioners. He's actively coordinated in all of this process of being a charge nurse. He also, since 2018 and ongoing, he has donated some of his time in intensive care as a float nurse with Memorial Hermann, the trauma hospital. As you know, anytime you hear the news and someone has been injured, Trauma One Memorial Hermann is the place. So he provides competent patient care to very critically ill patients with various kinds of illnesses. And he also serves with the Gamma Knife and Radiation Therapy Clinic. He provides patients and family education regarding complex treatments and regimens and medications. Anyway, he's a busy, busy person. In addition, Brandon works with Reload staffing or volunteers. And I could go on and on. But most of all, at this time at Baylor as a nurse practitioner faculty in the Division of Thoracic Surgery, he facilitates the daily clinic of assisting in creating personalized plans of care for patients with mesothelioma, lung esophageal cancer, hiatal hernia, pulmonary nodules, and GERD, which many of you, I'm sure, may be familiar with. He does family and patient teaching, both preoperatively and postoperatively. So let us welcome alumna Brandon L. Johnson to the podium to deliver the keynote address for this memorable centennial tribute honoring nursing graduates of Prairie View A&M University College of Nursing. Brandon.
It's more than an honor to be here today with my PV family. We all have our various experiences and visions at the College of Nursing, but we all share one commonality. One commonality that we came into this institution green and unpolished and graduated as safe practicing, competent registered nurses. Before some of us came to the College of Nursing, we've heard stories at the school about the amount of time it took to prepare for class, chapters that had to be read before class, presentations that had to be done, and for some of us, long commutes across town. But we accepted this challenge. We accepted this challenge and we endured. We endured because Prairie View set the bar and let us know that we can get to this standard. In getting to this standard, Prairie View said, sometimes I will hold your hand. At times you will hold the hand of your classmate as well. Just be patient, give me time, but more so, give me time with you. So it's no surprise to me that this institution has successfully educated nurses for 100 years. As I look into this crowd, I could do nothing but marvel. Prairie View produces productive people. But as a friend of mine, former SGA president, now notable attorney in the city of Houston, Andre Evans once said, Prairie View produces preeminent people. When you graduate from this school, you're given all the tools that you need to be successful. You are then at your preeminence. As I look around this room, it's amazing to see so many graduates here in their eminence. If you're at the beginning of your journey, trust your journey. If you're in the middle, like myself, I look forward to hearing and reading about the wonderful things that you will accomplish in the near and distant future. The theme for this centennial is legacy, living, and advancing. We can more appreciate where we are when we know a little bit from which we come. We've heard a little bit of the history today, but I'm going to still share it with you and a little more. In 1918, Prairie View was visited by mumps, measles, and pneumonia, which took the lives of 3 students, 2 ladies, 1 gentleman, and also 1 teacher. People were getting sick. Prairie View at that time was a place where students can go and obtain trades and skills like sewing, blacksmithing, cooking, agriculture, things that they can learn in their community and then take back to utilize. And these students were getting sick. There was also a pandemic of influenza. So J.G. Osborne established a division of nurse education. Students were admitted with the sole purpose of taking care of those students on campus, the people in the community, and surrounding cities. At that time, Prairie View A&M University was the only place where people of color could receive expert medical care. So what does 100 years mean, guys? So what does 100 years mean? In this instance, pioneering. In 1922, the Board of Nurse Examiners accredited the school and they graduated their first class of students, which totaled 18. By the time that those 18 students graduated, they had successfully treated 7,000 people of color. How about that for legacy, guys? In 1930, PV was able to establish their first clinical site at Jefferson Davis Hospital on now Allen Parkway. Students were able to get clinical rotations in medical nursing, in pediatrics and OB. And that rotation was 6 months. But once given this opportunity, Prairie View nurses are gonna do what Prairie View nurses do. We're gonna show up, we're gonna be neat, on time, ready to dig into patient care. So that 6 months rotation then went from 6 months to 9 months, 12 months, and then 18 months in 1948. And by that time, they obtained clinical rotations in medical nursing and surgical nursing. And all this sounds great, right? The school's evolving, the school's advancing. But there was still something missing: psych. There was no psych clinical. So PV was able to establish a psych clinical with the University of Texas in Galveston. So you mean to tell me my PV family drove from Prairie View to Galveston for psych rotations? So what does 100-year means, guys? In this instance, commitment. Now this institution has evolved to the point where they've graduated thousands of students who've transformed patient care and the lives of many people in hospitals across the globe. I'm only going to mention a few people, but it does not take the credit of those that are in this room and that were not fortunate enough to be here today. What about Lois Moore? Once CEO of Harris County Hospital District. What about Betty Lewis? Who probably doesn't even know or remember that she paid my first membership to a nursing organization when I was a student. Thank you. And Prairie View gives us great instructors, great teachers that can influence the lives of students that come to the school. What about Dr. Mary Holt Ashley, who was once CNO of Harris County Hospital District? Dr. Mary Holt Ashley spearheaded an outreach program to Forest Brook High School and selected 10 students in that entire school. In that entire school, those 10 students were selected and they were picked up from the north side of Houston and taken to Ben Taub one Saturday out the month for 6 consecutive months. There, they were paired with nurse mentors giving lectures on nursing, healthcare, and things of that nature. So out of those 10 students, only 1 chose nursing as a college major. If you do the math, that's a 10% success rate, guys. How many of us would like to create a proposal at work, get the funding, get the support, get the backing of our peers and colleagues, and have a 10% success rate? We would not be satisfied with that, right? But that 1 student went on to obtain their Bachelor of Science degree at Prairie View A&M University. Then that one student went further to obtain their master's at Prairie View A&M University. Then that one student went further to stand in the room at Hotel Zaza for the 100th year centennial anniversary and tell you that story. So what does 100 years mean, guys? In this instance, impact. I am Dr. Mary Holt Ashley's 10%. You have no idea of who you're impacting when you implement a program. So along the line, someone taught Dr. Ashley that you must give back. And I'm forever grateful that she decided to give back because she's impacted my life and the life of my family as well. Before my first day on the bedside, when I graduated from Prairie View with a bachelor's, I was going to work in the neuro ICU at Ben Taub. I was nervous. I had no idea what to do. I was shaking. And usually when I'm nervous, I call a mentor of mine and I get advice. And in this instance, I called Nicole George. She was a student 1 year ahead of me, always gave me great advice, and she never steered me wrong. I said, Nicole, what do? I have my first day of work. I'm nervous, I don't know. She said, Brandon, calm down. Set an alarm, maybe 2. Make sure you eat a good breakfast. And you seem nervous, you should drink a glass of wine and go to bed. It might help you sleep better. I may have taken her advice. She's never steered me wrong. And I slept well. And the next day, I showed up to work. I was still nervous, but I performed well. As I matured on the unit at Ben Taub in the neuro ICU, I then became charge nurse and preceptor. I then had new grads learning from me, and I was always satisfied with the knowledgeable, nervous new grad. I've come to find out that oftentimes they're nervous because they know what to be scared of. For instance, a new grad in the ICU can see a patient intubated in the bed, lay in there sleep, and say, you know what, today is going to be an easy day. I have this all under control, I'm good. But me, I saw more because Prairie View prepared me differently. I saw a patient in the bed, intubated, needing adequate oxygenation for survival. I saw a need to learn that ventilator and understand it and monitor it just as much as I monitor my patient. I saw a need for safety because I did not need that patient to extubate nor fall. I needed to prevent nosocomial infections, maintain skin integrity. There was an alteration in nutrition, ineffective coping, because I am not just taking care of this patient, I'm taking care of their family as well, who may have never seen this patient in this predicament. So I was nervous, I was scared, but as I look back on my training in those days, I was more so ready. Prairie View A&M University has given me so much. Since the day I drove up 290 to furnish my dorm room in Building 47, I felt a sense of welcome. I was surrounded by people like me, who were from backgrounds like me, being taught by instructors like me, who genuinely wanted me to succeed, but more so respect the craft of nursing. So I definitely appreciate that. One thing PV embedded in me is that as you go through these hospitals and in these communities, people may not see you. They may see the badge on your shoulder. So that means whatever you do, do with the utmost excellence, because you will not tarnish the reputation of this school or the hard work of the people that came before you. Today, I am a nurse practitioner and faculty at Baylor College of Medicine on the Division of Thoracic Surgery. I was one of the last 2 people that Dr. Sugarbaker hired, if some of you are familiar with him, before his passing. I wear a PV emblem on me every day when I'm at work because I want to let the patients and coworkers know that everything I do will be with precision and with the utmost care. I also wear that emblem as a reminder to myself that people may not see me, they may see my pedigree. Before I leave this stage, I want to thank Cecil for a lot of the historical data that he shared with me, this gentleman has so much that he can show us. A lot of memorabilia, a lot of photos, documentation. He even has a running list of notable alumni. So if you have not shared your accolades or your accomplishments with Cecil, please do so that they can be documented going forward. Also in the back, we have Dr. Davis, if you can come forward. She has some of what the nurses previously had to wear. So we'll let her model go this way, a little bit of that way, a little spin, you know. There we go. There you go. Very nice. She is a PV grad as well. That's a nurse and also an active practicing dentist. I also would like to thank my mother. If you can wave, it's okay. It's okay. This phenomenal woman put her trust in PV. And I want you to know that's one of the most brilliant decisions that you've ever made. Though all of your hard work and effort has not gone wasted. Those long drives of PV up 290 to bring me dinner that she prepared at home, because I was in class on some days, the entire time dinner was being served in the MSC. She made sure I had a meal and that I was fed. So I definitely appreciate that. I hope that you are as satisfied with Prairie View AM University College of Nursing as I am with you for allowing me to attend this institution. Thank you.
Well, I must say that I'm speechless, but Brandon, I knew you would deliver. Let's give him another round of applause. If Madam Campbell will just allow me to deviate a bit, I'm going to ask Cecil Brewer to come up because one thing about this Alumni Association, they are not shy. And I have learned to take their cues and their clues and so forth. Someone passed this beautiful portrait to me just a few minutes ago. And Brandon actually talked about this. However, one of the things that Cecil Brewer, one of our distinguished graduates of 1972, it wasn't very long because men were not going into nursing in most nursing programs. So Cecil Brewer, Isaac Smith, and were two of the first men to be students in the College of Nursing. And we have so many stories and so much to record. But most of all, we have to take this moment. Would you please explain this portrait?
This portrait was given to me on yesterday by Miss Lucilia Jones. I think she is a graduate of the class of 1959. Is Lucilia here?
Yes. Would you stand, Lucia? Oh, there she is. Okay, there she is.
And she can explain this better than me. You mind? Would you come? Because this is her authentic portrait, and we are trying to, collect and preserve the legacy of Prairie View by not only preserving what we have, we want to collect as much as we can while we are around here, okay? So his history goes back not just from, say, 1920, 1918, but 2000, 2010. So we all have something to contribute. So I want to put that plug in for our historical committee. This is Ms. Jones.
Cecil yesterday because I believe that, as I told him, my children will do nothing with this once I'm gone. So I wanted, I wanted it to be a part of our collection. But just off the top of my head is what I wrote to him. This photograph was taken in the front entrance of Jefferson Davis Hospital, Houston, Texas, in fall 1956 or spring 1957. It includes all Prairie View A&M College nursing students involved in clinical practice at the hospital during that time. The hospital served City of Houston and Harris County indigent patients and was located on Buffalo Speedway Drive, later renamed Allen Parkway Drive. The picture includes students in the 3-year diploma and 4-year collegiate programs who are classified as junior or senior level. The nursing cap distinguishes each group through the use of a black velvet stripe located across the top of the cap. Juniors had a short, wide stripe, while seniors had a longer, thin stripe. Among the students shown is Lois Jean Wilson Moore, who would later serve as president of the Harris County Hospital System. The uniform worn at that time included a royal blue dress with a white bib and apron, white stockings, and shoes. Lucelia Jones, class of 1959.
Thank you very much. Well, certainly our time has been well spent. And at this time, I'm going to ask Mrs. Denise Smith to come up and extend some remarks. Mrs. Smith serves as president of the PV chapter of the university's Alumni Association. She is a 1977 graduate. Well, you can correct it. But most of all, she is a very busy individual, committed. She comes to the College of Nursing. Sometimes we see her daily, which is good, but she is totally engaged and has led the students, especially in the last few years, to get to know what it's like to be an alum after you graduate. And as a result of all of this, they have established a relationship with the Nurses Alumni Association, and they benefit, as Brandon just mentioned, the camaraderie that develops over time. As a result, they are eager to become active members of the association. So, Denise, would you please extend some remarks this time?
Good afternoon. Dr. Simmons, before I start, Dr. Adams said I have to check with you to get an office over there. Since I'm over there every day almost, so I'm extending my request. I got it? Okay, I got it. No. I was just kidding. To President Simmons, Dean Adams, honored guests, supporters, fellow alumni, and future nurses. Before I make my remarks, as they say, I'm the president of the Prairie View Nurses Alumni Chapter. And without the support of the board, I am really nothing. No man is an island. So I would like to recognize the board if they can stand up. We have the Vice President, Ruby Nixon. The Treasurer, Rosie Robertson. Historian, Cecil Brewer. Parliamentarian, Clarion Booker. Correspondence Secretary, Michelle Martin. Recording Secretary, Patricia Brayton. Financial Secretary, Doris Herbert. And last but not least, our chaplain, Donetta Goodall. Thank you. In so many ways, I feel blessed and fortunate to be standing at this podium today. My journey has been challenging, rewarding, and exciting. As I look out here, I spoke to many of you on the phone. I know you by name, now you know me by face, and I hopefully can meet you all. As I was preparing my speech, my remarks, I'm not going to be long. I'm not a upfront person. I like to be in the backgrounds. As I prepared my speech last night, I had mixed emotion. All these emotions from back in the days came by. But what I would like to do is to share a little bit with you about my journey to, through, and beyond Prairie View. Brandon mentioned, driving in a car, going to Prairie View. Some of you might have come on the bus going to Prairie View. Denise came on the plane. And for those of you who do not know, I'm not from Louisiana. So listen carefully to my timeline. I'm telling you to Prairie View now. On June the 8th, 1974, I got married. June 8th, remember that day. June the 11th, that's 3 days later, I was in a plane coming where? To Prairie View. First time leaving my house, just got out of my teenage year, just between 19 and 20, they're married, coming to Prairie View, leave my house and family for the first time on the plane. So I think I beat most of you out in terms of how I got to Prairie View. Why Prairie View? I had an older brother that attended Prairie View and graduated in agriculture. But by the time I got there, he had already graduated and he moved to LSU. It was a very scary experience. Imagine coming from Guyana. And Guyana, if the older people might know Jim Jones. Okay. I wasn't there, but that's where I'm from. That's my only point of reference now, so y'all can know how far I came from. I have nothing to do with that now, okay. It was a very scary experience, leaving parents, siblings, and home for the first time and traveling miles to a foreign country, not knowing what to expect. I can say I spent my honeymoon at Prairie View. 3 days later, there was no honeymoon after the wedding, so it was at Prairie View. It didn't, as in the fall of 1974, I first entered the doors of Prairie View, a bit scared of my choice of college and nursing as a career. It did not take me long to realize that not only had I made an excellent career choice, but that peer review offer an outstanding opportunity with dedicated staff and resources for me to succeed. The journey through peer review, it was not easy. Now, I grew up, which once used to be British Guyana. So I'm used to the Queen's English, if you know what I'm talking about. Okay? I got the peer review. There were people that looked like me. That's it. That's a good thing. There were instructors that looked like me. That's not a good thing. But when it came to communication, we had a little issue there. Where you finna to go? What is that? They spoke in these slangs, and I'm like, what are they talking about? It was a challenge. Testing was multiple choice. The British system was essay type questions. You had to read the essay, and then you had to write, you have questions, and you had to answer essay form. You have a topic, the sky is blue. You write a 300 words about the sky is blue. I call that stuff multiple guessing, because that's all I did was guess what the A, B, C, or D, or all of the above, sometimes none of the above. It was hard. I had to get used to government, political science, and things like that were challenging, but I managed to weather the storm and graduated with honors and passed the state board. The journey beyond peer review was very fulfilling. I spent 30 years in public health and 2 years at the hospital. I felt prepared for the many challenges I had to face at the hospital and later in public health, thanks to the leadership of Dr. Manguru, who was the dean at that time, Dr. Blakes, Goodman, Ash, and Ms. Lott, to name a few. Today we are gathered here to celebrate the fact that our nursing school has survived 10 decades of turmoil and changes in America's society. Think about it. World Wars I and II, the Korean War, Vietnam War, war in Iraq, and other places. Prairie View survived the Great Depression, Jim Crow laws, and other upheavals in our society. My parents often use the maxim, where there's a will, there's a way, as encouragement to my siblings and me to strive to attain higher goals. I strongly believe our college survived and prospered because exceptional leaders had the will and fostered ways to succeed. I must therefore say thanks to our current president, Dr. Simmons, who has taken the torch to continue the great legacy. Dean Adams, for the past 18 years plus at the helm, and those educators and leaders who served before them for 100 years of successfully training professional nurses. That was my Cliff Notes. I would be remiss if I do not say something about the Nurses Alumni Chapter. How many of you in here are Nurses Alumni? Would you stand? Stand up, don't put your hands up, I need to see your faces. Nurses Alumni, graduates of Prairie View. Wait, don't sit down yet. There's another test. You can only sit down if you're a member of the Nurses Alumni Chapter. We need you. So we gave out some paperwork, and we're going to contact you. I hope everyone fill out the information sheet. And I think there are more people that sat down than I have on my roster. You can ask the people that come to meetings. I know everybody's name that's on the roster. And yeah, if you could fill out the information sheet so we can stay in contact. I want to let you know on May the 4th, we have our Prairie View 36th Annual Scholarship Luncheon, where we get funds and we give out scholarship to deserving nursing students. Last year, we gave out 20 nursing scholarships, anywhere from $1,000 to $2,500. And I think this year we're going to be doing a little better than the 20. I also want to remind you and let you know that in July is the national convention right here in Springs in your backyard. We'll send more information out to you with the information you give on the form. Also, one last thing before I leave the podium. I know there's several classes of nurses here. Before you leave, I know you're going to be ready to go, but for the archives, we would like to have people that in the various classes, we would like to have class pictures, so we can put those in the archive. There's a photographer here that's taking pictures for the nurses alumni. So if you bear with us for a few minutes, get your people together, and then we can take your picture, and then you go. One thing before I leave, I would like to shout out to my classmates over there. There's some, Elaine, Ann, Maddie, where did they go? They left? They're gone. Oh, Elaine, oh, Maddie over here. Thank you for your attention, and hope to see you on May the 4th.
This day would not have been possible. An opportunity for the university to say tribute. Okay. We have our most outstanding president. I was going to say.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Hi. Wow, this has been such an event. Oh, my goodness. Where's Carol Campbell? Carol Campbell, how long do we have this room? Till 2? I can't hear you. Until 6 o'clock? She said until 6? She's holding up 2 fingers, Betty. Okay, until 2 o'clock. So I know the hour is late, but honestly, I have to tell you how thrilling it is to sit and hear you all celebrate and reminisce and enjoy the fact that you're associated with this best of all college of nursing. What a thing that is. I want to make sure you fully apprehend that. 100 years. 100 years. There are so few institutions that survive for 100 years. There are very few that survive for 50. To think of the way in which this institution was founded with so little confidence that it was going to be great and that it was going to endure. And to think that we are standing here today, 100 years later, defying expectations, that is a reason to make some noise. What a thing. And so I hope that you are filled with pride on this day, and that you're going to help us celebrate throughout this year this momentous milestone. This momentous milestone. Now, we insisted on this event because in the history of higher education, we see a lot of this. We knew how important this was. Mr. Johnson, really, you're tremendous. But I know you're tremendous because of what you got at the university, but I know that can't be it, all of it. I think you're tremendous because of your mother. So, Mom, can you stand? Celebrate our mothers, our fathers who helped us get where we are. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I had a lot of stuff up here that I was going to say, but I think it's really quite unnecessary. Quite unnecessary. There are a couple of things that, as president, I'm obligated to say, and of course I will do that. I'm obligated to tell you what went into planning this event, because however big you get, you should never, ever forget the people who help you to do what you do. And so I want Ms. Campbell and her staff to come forward. I want you to see them and appreciate that you may come today and have a perfectly fine meal, but they've been working on this for a very long time, worrying about every little detail, how the program looked, what kind of flowers, whether this was the right spot to have it, and so on. Thank you so much for it. Thank you. And by the way, they just came back from an alumni reception in Los Angeles. So they're doing this all around the country. And so we appreciate you and thank you so much. I also have to introduce our administrators who I think have not had a chance to stand beyond the nursing college. But please stand so that people will know that we have other administrators, Dean Kelly, Carmi, Dr. Palmer. Are there others? Did Carmi have to leave? Well, that's too bad, because I was just getting ready to introduce her as the person who receives the money for the university. So we'll have to have somebody else play that role. And I just wanted to introduce you to Carmi Williams, who is our Chief Advancement Officer, because I have to say this. I travel all over the country, and I see what's happening at other institutions, and I see the way that alumni of those institutions care for their institutions, and it's a powerful thing. But I also see the way that they support their institution by making donations. So I don't care what it is. It could be $5, doesn't matter. Every year, you should send something to this incredible institution for what they are doing, not just for you, but for all the young ones coming along, okay? Do that. It makes a huge difference. Now, I hear a lot of scuttlebutt on the campus. You know, I go in the dining hall, I sit down across from students, and I hear their woes and their ambitions and everything. It's wonderful. But here's what I hear about nursing. It's hard. I don't think I'm going to be able to get in. I don't know what I'm going to do if I don't get in. I've always dreamed of nursing. Can you, I think they're really asking me to help kind of slide them in somehow illegally. I can't do that. But as hard as it is for us to see young people whose ambitions are thwarted, and that's hard, especially in our community, it is even better to know how rigorous this program is. Because it is rigorous, you have been able to excel. And you cannot excel if it is not rigorous. And so I get calls from students who say, you know, I can't make it, it's just too hard. I said, well, I'll give you the advice that I was given when I was a student, when I was prepared to drop out, because I just thought I couldn't do this particular course, I couldn't do the work, and I said, well, I'm just going to drop out. I went to my professor and I said, you know, I can't do this work, sign my card, I'm going to drop out. And he said, no, I won't sign it. I said, well, but I don't understand anything. He said, well, just work harder. So I tell them that story, and I say, well, just work harder, and if you don't make it this time, try again another time. That's not a bad message for our young people. So I make no apologies for the fact that people are saying how difficult it is to get into nursing, and how tough the courses are, and how unreasonable the courses are, because they're so difficult. Keep doing what you're doing, because you are on the right course. So I am so proud of all of you. I'm proud, Betty, of the tremendous work that goes on here. I am so glad you were able to come today. And we will be having other events. Come back and celebrate with us further. Thank you. Have a good day.